Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson. And yes, I am so sorry we are starting a little bit late tonight. This is not the way we roll in the Horizons Author Lounge, but sometimes things happen. So I appreciate everybody's patience with me. We are going to just jump right in there because there's so much to cover. And I have a great guest on with me right now, and another great guest coming later. And I know we started late, but both of our guests have agreed to do the full 30-minute interview. So we're going to be on a few minutes later today. So I want to introduce you guys to Michelle Stimpson. And I invited her on the show because she has a brand new holiday audio book that has been released. And I was like, oh, that is so timely. And with this being the last show of the year, why not end it with some great holiday fiction? So everybody, help me welcome Miss Michelle Stimpson to the show. Hello.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Rhonda. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here, and thank you once again for your patience. I really appreciate it. This is what happens when you have a day job, you know? Oh
It
man.
bees that way sometimes.
It does. It does. So tell us about this awesome book that you have. I really love the name because it sounds like this isn't just. I mean, it may be a love story, but it sounds like there's a little adventure there.
A little bit of history. This is a novel. It is a full-length novel. I'm going to show you the cover of it here if I can get my little stuff pulled up here. It's called Christmas at the Gingerbread Inn. Mm-hmm. And it's the story that takes place, of course, it takes place in Martha's Vineyard.
Nice.
So it's an Audible only story. Of It's a romance. It's one of those classic romances, but we've got an African American couple and a little bit of history of the town itself, of Martha's Vineyard, and of her family, the history that they have there, and just a really sweet love story. I love a good Christmas romance where you just sit back, fall in love again. Excuse me, I got to sneeze. No, it went away. Came back. Yeah, this is that time of year, right?
Yes.
But definitely one of my favorites because there's a lot of cooking, there's a lot of food, there's a lot of fun, and just that sweet romance that you could, if you were taking a long drive, you could, if you had kids in the car, you could listen to it.
Okay, so that means it's good, clean romance.
Right, like that. Yes, and that's
actually, I have to ask that question because sometimes there have been times where I was listening to an audiobook and my child was in the car and then they would get to a certain scene and I was like, oh shoot, let me turn this down a little bit.
Right. And this is my third one to do with Audible. And I come from a faith-based writing background. So there wasn't a bunch of explicit work in my previous body of work. But this is more of a clean romance. And one of the very first comments that I got on the very first one that I did with Audible was people being relieved that they could take time. You could be listening to this in the kitchen, cooking your cookies and whatever it is you do. There's going to be kids underfoot running in and out of the kitchen. And you want to be able sometimes to listen to things that they might not necessarily be interested in, but it wouldn't cause eyebrows to be raised while you're trying to do all your family things. So I appreciate that. And I've thought about that a lot as I think through these Christmas books, especially.
Well, tell us a little bit about the story. Is it a boy meets girl type situation?
So the fun thing about this one is we've got boy met girl a long time ago.
Okay, okay.
Her family owns the Gingerbread Inn there in Martha's Vineyard, which, as you may know, is a place where a lot of the elite African Americans in the 40s and 50s would go to. It was one of the few places where they could go and not be harassed as African Americans. And her family's owned this Gingerbread Inn. And so years and years ago, the main character, Eden, she actually met Caleb there. His family came to visit as, I'm saying tenants, but, visitors. And they kind of had a little weekend or a week long, getting to know each other. They were like 14. So, it didn't go far. Right. They were trying to get to know each other. And then, of course, the family left and they moved on and that kind of thing. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, remember that time you met that guy and you wondered what would have happened? And I really like that in a romance. I think a lot of us have somebody we're just like, wonder what would have happened, with that
Uh,
person.
yeah, I think a lot of us have that what if moment, and it
Mhm.
sounds like in this case, there was people got to live that what if moment.
Years later. Yes.
Yes,
They were like freshmen in high school when they met, when his family came for that week. And now they're almost 30 years old. So it was half their lives ago that they met. He's also getting past the death of his mother. So Christmas can be a really rough time for a lot of people. And
absolutely it can.
he's definitely going through that as well, and kind of came back to that place to remember one of his favorite family vacations that he took with his mother and the rest of his family.
Oh, that's nice. Now you said this is your third audiobook?
This is my third one with Audible. So this is exclusively an Audible book. It won't come
Mm,
out in
yeah, I wanted
book.
to ask you about that
Mhm.
because we don't see that that often.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I didn't even know people were doing. I am an Audible subscriber. I actually
Mhm.
listened to probably most of my books on Audible. I started that about 3 or 4 years ago when I was commuting about an hour. It was probably about 5 years ago. I was commuting to a contract that I was doing, some work that I was doing for, and it was like an hour each way, maybe an hour and a half. So
Yeah.
on a bad day.
I'm the same
Yeah.
way. I live in the DMV and I'm anywhere
Mhm.
you go in the DMV is going to be about an hour. So I will listen to an
Yeah.
audiobook quick.
Yeah. I got just hooked on audiobooks that way. And so my agent works with Audible to produce some kind of exclusive things. And she just ran it by me and said, would you be interested to do this? And I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. I think that'd be kind of fun. And so that's how it all came about. But because it's an Audible exclusive, it won't come out in print.
Oh,
And so that's just kind of how that whole deal works. What's interesting to me as a writer is that when you're writing, knowing that it's going to audio and that people won't be reading it. I mean, you write a book and there will be some some audio version of the book made later on, but that's not
mhm,
the primary audience necessarily. But when you write for Audible, you, at least I do, I think about how things sound differently. And so
right.
I'm putting in little chants because I want a certain rhythm to come through. I just think differently about it, knowing the medium that's going to be delivered.
It just feels different. I'm
It
thinking
is.
when you're reading the book, in the audio form because you have to be able to keep the person's attention. You can't read it monotone.
Well, I don't actually read it. Other
Oh,
people
so
read
you
it.
didn't read it yourself?
Oh no, that's not my gift. No, ma'am. To this date, I have not read any of my audiobooks. And even now, if I do, so I think I have a lot of self-published books too that I'm playing around with some AI to help me with that. But no, I don't do
Okay.
that. I don't do that. You got to know your
Like,
gift, and
no,
that's
not
not
we're
mine.
not doing that.
No, as a matter of fact, it's hard for me sometimes to listen to the audio of a book because there's a part of me that's always like, are they going to say it the way I want them to say it? Kind of like how actors will say, I don't listen, they don't watch themselves on film because it's never what they thought it was.
Right.
I kind of feel that
Yeah.
way sometimes. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate that comment.
Well, I mean, let's talk a bit about the process because one of the things I have not done with any of my books yet was put
Mhm.
them on audio, but I would like to do that with my books in 2024, especially my first book, which was Cheating in the Next Room.
Mm,
Um, the
mhm.
20th anniversary of Cheating in the Next Room is next year. So I thought it would be a great way to kind of celebrate the book by putting it in audio form. It's already been
Mhm.
on stage. It's already been a book, so why not
Yeah,
put it in audio? But now, how do you turn your baby, something that you labored over, and give it to somebody and hope that they're going to read it with the same love and respect that you put into it?
that's a hard thing. First of all, let me say congratulations. 20 year. We are book birthday twins. My first book came out in 2004 as well.
See, look at
So
that. I
yeah.
remember I think that's how we met each other was kind
Okay.
of we were around the same time coming out about the same time and I don't
Hmm.
know if you and I actually met each other face to face, but
Okay.
we I would hear your name a lot of times. So we I think that's
Yeah,
kind
we've
of
been
how
in the
we
same
met each
circles.
other. We just kind of knew of each other.
Yes, yes. So next year makes 20 years for both of us. Bless
Awesome.
God. Bless God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Same to you. So Traditionally, when I've been traditionally published, I haven't really had a big hand in the audio piece of it all. As a matter of fact, my first book, which was Boaz Brown, which came out in 2004, I didn't even know it was on audio.
Mm.
Somebody told me it was on audio. I think a librarian told me because somebody asked me in a book club, and I was like, no. And then somebody was like, yeah, it is right here. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know anything about all that. But I have had a couple of books that I published independently. Stepping Down is the name of one of them. Also, the first Mama B book that I worked with an independent artist through ACX
Okay.
to acx.com, which Audible owns. I mean, well, Audible, Amazon owns both of them at
Yes.
this point. So that was a good experience. I think part of me, again, is always a little anxious about audio. Um, but this Audible situation has been totally different in that I'm writing completely for audio, and that's a whole different thing. I don't really have my hands in that work too much, but I know that there's a lot of stuff coming out, and I know there's a lot of controversy around AI, and I know Amazon's not allowing it right now for those who are indie authors. They're not
Yeah.
allowing AI. Well, they have their own AI for audio, but it's not very good. There's others that are better that
I
other
think I would want a actual human being to read.
you could, I mean, definitely, but I think in the next year it's going to be like
You won't be
the
able to
technology
avoid
is
it.
going to catch up. Yes, it's already that way right now in a lot of things. But yeah, it's been interesting to watch what technology is doing to our craft and to our work.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It may come across sounding, sounding like love and just bringing life to the characters, but all I'm picturing is Alexa right now.
No, no, no. So, and this is actually something that I was playing around with today because my husband and I just got back from a trip to Ghana,
Hmm.
and everybody has asked us the same questions over and over again. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to just make a little video because
Yeah.
it's kind of like a pregnant lady. Like everywhere you go, how old, how far along are you? What's the baby's do? Is it a boy? Or like the same 7 questions that people ask you. You can try to ask them. So I thought I'm gonna make a video, but I don't want to do the audio because I just don't want to. So I was playing around with some audio. I have my whole like script of what I want to say, but I was playing around with some audio today, and I'm gonna use that AI for it because I don't have time for all that.
Gotcha.
If I do it
Gotcha.
myself, I'm gonna have to stop and cut and record and redo it. And I was too fast over here. I was too loud over here. But if you just go speech to text, it's a whole different. Text to speech is a whole different thing. You can clone your voice in it if you want to.
I got you. I got you.
I'm just saying that's what's happening in the industry, my friend.
You just dropped some jewels and didn't even know it.
That's what I'm saying. They got it now where I know this is not the topic of the show, but they got it now where you could record it in your own voice and do all the little stuff like, girl, that was crazy. And you could put another
Wow.
voice
Okay.
on top of your voice and it'll say exactly what you said, girl, that was crazy. But it'll be a different voice because that's the voice you want it to be. So it's
Hmm.
all interesting what's happening. I think it has some positives for our craft, but I also think there are some negatives as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that with anybody, you have to um you have to decide on what's right for you and what's right for
Right.
your project.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm. Well, it gives me a lot to think about because, like I said, I'm going to be dabbling into this audiobook world because I
Hmm.
love audiobooks. I listen to audiobooks while I'm exercising. Sometimes I listen to them while I'm at work just so I can decompress a little bit. Sometimes I listen to them while I'm driving.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
most of the books that I've read this year have been audiobooks. So
Yeah, I'm with
if
you.
I'm going to be into audiobooks, I might as well put my own work into audio.
Right, right. I think I mean, there's a whole audience of folks, maybe some folks who might have some disabilities and things like that who won't be able to access that print book can certainly access the audio. So it's all
Right,
good.
right.
Hmm.
But now and that also gives you something to think about because the other part about audiobooks, well with ACX in general,
Hmm.
you put
Hmm.
your book out there
Hmm.
and you're basically just waiting for one of the narrators to choose it.
I'm trying to think. You can also, if you know a voice talent, you
Mm-hmm.
you can have them sign up for ACX and then you choose them, and like there's no big auction and all that kind of thing. So I'm not saying there's an auction, but there's no other people getting a chance to audition and all that kind of stuff.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
So,
see, you're helping me out because
so
I'm
Joy
telling you,
Massenberg.
this is totally new. This is going to be totally new territory for me.
Okay, Joy Massenberg, who is also an author, um, an African American author, she did the audio for Mama B book one. I needed a Southern, somebody who understood Southern dialect to do
Right.
that book, and you're not going to find a lot of folks who can do that and do it well. And so I knew I didn't want to put that out there because you're going to get all kind of stuff. That's not going to be right. She's got to have this specific as an older Black woman, and everybody can't do that. And I'll get
Well,
offended.
I will tell you this: if my character is going to be an older Black woman from the South, I want to make sure that the person is going to give a real accent and not a
Yeah.
stereotypical Southern accent.
Well, what do you mean by that? I don't know what you mean by
Well, I
that.
just want them to sound real. I just don't want them to sound like they're trying to be Southern.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. It needs to be an authentic Southern
Right.
accent. And that's exactly what I wanted. And that's why I didn't put it on the market. I had another one. Stepping Down, I did have a couple of folks to audition for that one.
Okay.
But for Mama B, it wasn't gonna, I didn't need to do that. So I can't remember how I did it, but it was like we set it up so that I automatically she was my person.
Awesome, awesome. So now
Mhm.
you have another book
Yeah.
that's out right now as well, and this is a physical book.
So this is coming out in March, actually. Sisters with a Side of Greens. I think that's the one I shared
Yes.
with you. Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited about this book. So this one's a physical book as well as an audio book, and actually just got optioned for a film by BET
Oh, that's
like
wonderful.
last week. So I was like, oh my goodness, I was getting on the plane and then it was like, oh my gosh, I have to go. But this is awesome. So Sisters with
So
a Side of
that
Greens.
the title sounds like a movie.
Thank you. It should be a movie. It should be a great movie. I cannot now. I'm just like I couldn't even hardly sleep on the plane, right? Um, but Sisters with a Side of Greens is the story of two sisters who have been
Yes.
fighting over $40 for about 40 years. So at that point, it's not even about the $40, right?
Right.
It's about something that went down between her and her sister, and really their mother, who's deceased at this point, and this family recipe of seasoning that is kind of in between them, but it's also what needs to bring them back together. And so we've got Rose, and her sister Marvina, and they are in their late 50s, and they're not spring chickens. They're at a
Right.
point where they're starting to realize that they might need each other. Like
Mm.
your knees aren't holding up the way they used to, and you're just getting up there, and
Yeah.
you might need to start connecting with some folk. And so they find themselves in a situation where they're kind of at odds with one another to figure out what to do with Mama's recipe, what to do with Mama's house. How do we even need to be back together? Like, what can we get along even?
Mm.
Another funny piece of this is the main character Rose. Her ex-husband David plays a big part in this, and it's one of those situations where they never stop loving each other, but
Yes.
he was not trying to be a husband. He wanted a wife, but he didn't want to be a husband.
You know what? I love listening to you talk about the book. You sound like you're talking about people your friends.
Yes,
It sounds so conversational. Listening to you describe your
thank
story, and
you.
I think that's the greatest way to present a book because it makes people want to read it.
Well, thank you. Well, and I don't have any sisters. I only have brothers,
Oh,
but my mother had three sisters. And I just
okay.
remember being a little girl and my mother would be pressing my hair. She'd, be right behind me, she's pressing my hair. And this is like back in the day before we had three-way and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And she would talk to one sister and she was, all right, let me hang up and let me call someone. So I'll tell you what she said. Then she'll hang up. And like this whole conversation is going back and forth. And I don't know how she's the one relaying all the messages, but she was. And hey, Deborah, thank you so much for that. And I just remember being a little girl thinking, this is a lot of information. I don't even think this is actually accurate. But you can't say anything because then you'd be you and grown folks' business. But I'm like, but it's right here in my ear, like all of it.
Right.
And I remember one time my mother and my grandmother stopped talking for like 3 months.
Mm.
They fell out, and I was so hurt because this is my grandmother, and like we went to church with them, so we
Yes.
stopped. We weren't going to church, and they weren't talking. And then when my auntie would call and say, "Well, mother said this," my mom would say, "I don't want to talk. I'm not talking to her right now." And the other auntie would call, "Why you ain't talking to mama?" It was just this big, huge thing that as a child, it just hurt me. I mean, they
Yeah.
eventually reconciled and they were okay, but I don't think they knew how much their relationship mattered to me
Mm.
as a child.
It's really funny. I'm never going to forget. I mean, my grandmother and her sisters and brothers have all passed, but
Mhm.
we my generation and our parents will never forget this big epic argument that my grandmother and her sisters got into. I mean, we thought they were going to go to blows and start throwing fists. And
Wow.
all I
Wow.
remember is us being in a hotel room and all of us sitting on a bed just going like this.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Years
Yes.
later, we laugh about it, but then we just knew that they were going to get into blows, and none of us ever
Yeah.
forgot that. And
Wow.
like I said, we can sit back and laugh on it now, but it is a funny feeling when you see the people you love get
Mhm.
into that type of disagreement where they but stop speaking, or where they're
Yeah.
ready to fight, and you want
Yeah.
you want them to love each other.
Yeah, yeah, that was a hard thing. And I think as I've talked with people about this particular book, I mean, everybody has a story of something that happened where some people aren't talking to their children, some people aren't talking to their parents, and some people have, very valid reasons for that. Like there's
Yes.
abuse and there's all kinds of different things happening. So it's, no judgment there. It's just a matter of understanding that the way we relate to one another and how that impacts all of the other relationships that we might have matters. And so even my agent, when I talked to her about the book, she told me about how her mother and her aunt did not talk her whole lifetime.
Wow.
As a child, she
Not
they
the
never
whole lifetime?
she never her mother and her aunt just she never saw them interact. And she said, she all she knows is at one point they were living together as adults, and somebody did not take the clothes out the dryer. That was the last thing that was said
Mm.
between the two of them. And so when things like that happen, and really I got the idea for the $40 um, from watching a judge show, and I'm pretty big on. I used to watch judge shows a lot. I'm
Yes.
coming down, but I was looking for the lowest amount of money that somebody could, sue for, and the lowest I saw was $40, and it was siblings arguing over
That's the
$40.
lowest amount you can sue for is
I mean,
$40?
that's the lowest I saw on that particular show.
Well, I'm just wondering, wouldn't the case cost more than $40?
Yeah, it does. I've had to sue before, and it costs more than $40 to sue somebody. But when it's that little, between Rose and Marvina in the book, Rose, and then you'll find this out very early in the story. Rose gave her sister some money to start a business. Somebody said 99 cents a day. Rose sent home some money to her sister to their
Mhm.
hometown and said, "Here's $40 to register our business as a DBA." And Marvina took the money and spent it on something else. And that was how it started. Like, how did you
Mm.
not do that? And Marvina, if you read the book, Marvina has her reasons for why she did that, but they just never talked about it.
Right.
And both of the reasons are valid. It was a matter of communication. So anyway, it's just
Yeah.
interesting to me what happens in families and the 99-cent earrings. I could see something like that happen. Like
Yeah,
when
I
you
think
borrow
after that, it's about the principalities. It's not about the money.
right, you took these earrings out of my purse and did not
Mhm.
respect my space. Like it's not about the earrings at that point. So yeah, but those things run deep. I mean, they can cause huge fissures in families, and then some. It's not just you and that person. Now it's this person is on cousin so and so is on her side, and now ain't so and so them on, and now they're not coming to the reunion because all that kind of stuff. A lot of it can be resolved with communication.
Absolutely, absolutely. This sounds like a beautiful story. I
Thank
can't wait
you.
to read it,
Thank
and I
you.
can't wait to see it. So now
Yes.
you said the book isn't out yet. So when is it going to be released?
This book releases on March the 5th, 2024. And
Okay.
I know that your next guest is Kenyatta
Yes.
from Richardson Reading. If you pre order the book through Kenyatta, you will get ta-da-da, a special seasoning packet. We
Yes.
have seasoning that I see. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm really not a cook. I found some people who actually know what they're doing. Sent them some pages from the book about how the family made the seasoning and said, "Can you do something for real, for real?" So we have this lovely seasoning. I have to get my little sticker on there. I've been gone for about a week and a half. So, but yes, if you pre-order before it's in January, I believe it is, you
Hmm.
will get while supplies last a free packet of seasoning. And so it was so funny because, like I said, I don't really be cooking. When they sent these back, I was like, "That's a lot of seasoning." To me, that's a lot of seasoning. And the guy was like, "You can make it's enough to do some, a batch of chicken." I was like, "Oh, see, that's the problem. I don't be seasoning probably right." Because I didn't grow up with all the cooking, but it's been interesting to see how much food played in the family, and
Yes.
you know, food just is so huge in our families, and it's such a legacy and such a
Absolutely.
great.
Food is a large part of bringing the family together.
Mhm,
This is how we
mhm.
talk. This is how we communicate. This is how we show love. It's all over food.
Yes, yes. And sometimes it was all we had, you know.
Hmm.
It was all we had to give was a name and some food. And that would be it.
Well, Kenyatta sent us the link for, I mean, I know
Yay!
I have the richardsonreading.com on the screen right now.
Mhm.
However, if you're watching the show on YouTube or on Facebook, I put a longer link in the chat. I'm not going to put it on the screen because it's super long, but
Mhm.
I put a longer link in the chat. If you go to that link and pre-order the book, then you can get your seasoning.
Yes, and you can put it on greens, you can put it on chicken. I had him to really kind of make it for some southern food.
Okay.
And so yeah. Yes, 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 yes. It's gonna be super exciting.
I'm excited for you. So have you already sent the book out for advanced reading copies to get some reviews, and
Yes.
how's the feedback been?
The feedback is going really well. I'm excited
Awesome.
about the folks who've been giving me great reviews. Michelle Richmond, who wrote the book club, the book woman of Lonesome Creek. She loved the book. What's been interesting, we got some reviews on Goodreads, and the funny thing that happened, they're good, right? There's one though that was just like, there's too much God or something. Somebody was a person who you know, um, is not with any faith. And so it was funny because I've written a lot of faith-based fiction. This
Mm,
is being shared as women's fiction, and I think it really is. But the funny thing is, like, you really can't tell the story of two Southern Black women in a small
right.
town without some element of spirituality.
Absolutely. This is
Um,
this is a huge part of our culture. Is
right,
spirituality.
right. So I took it as a compliment.
That means you did something right.
Right. I was like, well, you can't beat them. You can't win them all over. But the reviews have been really good, and people have enjoyed the sisters. And that's the funny thing about I started writing in diaries. That was really my first writing experience, was writing in my diary on a regular basis. And I'm still a huge advocate for journaling and all that it can do. All the self-help stuff that we see that's popular now. I mean, I'd be like, why y'all ain't been keeping the diary journal all these years? But because of that being kind of my regular writing, I think it helps me to write first person very well. Because when you
That
write your
makes
journal,
sense.
it's
Yes.
I said this and I said, and you tell it the way you really really feel it because it's your journal. You don't edit
Hmm.
it, and I think I'm grateful for that experience because I think that lends itself well to the type of writing that I do.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, um, I'm loving it. I'm going to be reading both books. In fact,
Thank
I
you.
have 3 credits on my Audible account.
All right, get that first one.
Yes. Okay, now the audiobook is out already, right?
Yes, that one came out. I think maybe the week before Thanksgiving, somewhere around that time.
Wonderful. Now remind us of the and you don't happen to have anything with the cover on it, do you?
No, I just have, you know what? Because it's not like a physical thing.
Right, it's an
I just
audiobook.
I'm so lazy.
She is pulling out the whole laptop.
Bam.
Come on.
Here you go. This is my Christmas
There
at
we go.
the Gingerbread Inn. That's what I can show you right now, people.
Christmas at the Gingerbread Inn. Now, really quick,
Absolutely.
I know we only have a couple of minutes left.
Mhm,
Let's talk, and can we talk a minute? And I know we touched on that earlier in the show,
mhm,
but the only on Audible books.
mhm,
I believe some of them actually there are some that where you do have to spend a credit to get
mhm.
the book, and then there are some that are free.
Right. If you are an Audible subscriber, all of my Christmas books, Christmas at the Gingerbread Inn. Last year I had Let It Snow. I can't think of the one before that. You caught me. But there are three by me and they have the Christmassy look. So you'll be good. But yeah, those are free to Audible subscribers.
Okay, and that helps, but that still helps you because it puts engagement in your book,
Yes.
and at the same time you're getting more reviews, which can increase engagement even more. So
Right, right.
I
It all
wanted to
goes
point
together.
that out because sometimes newer authors are like, I'm not giving away anything for free, I'm trying to make money. But in a case like this actually helps you.
Definitely. It's definitely a lot of exposure, and it keeps your name in front of other folks so that people are like, "Oh, what else does she have?" I mean, I have written over 60 books. So
Yes,
every time a book comes out, the other ones do well. There's kind of a shelf life sometimes for books if you don't really promote them, but when one does come out, it does impact the sales of the other books. So, it's all good.
that makes a lot of sense. Well,
Mhm.
Michelle Stimpson, I'm going to go ahead and put your website back on the screen for those
Thank
who.
you.
Oh, there's so many comments. I had to look for it. Oh, there it is. So, michellestimpson.com. You can go to her website to find out more information about her books. Make sure you go to Audible to get the new Christmas book, and then pre-order your book through Riches and Reading right here.
Mhm.
And you can pre-order Sisters with a Side of Green so you can get your seasoning packet, your free seasoning packet. So
Yes.
let's continue to support our authors. Let's get these books to the bestsellers list.
Thank
And
you.
I want to thank you, Michelle, for joining me tonight. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rhonda. I appreciate you as well for your support, and God bless you in your work as well.
Thank you so very much. You enjoy your evening.
Alrighty, you too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. So yeah, that was Michelle Stimpson. And before we bring on the next guest, I have to remind you guys the Black History Month Literary Weekend is going to be here in the DMV February 22nd through the 24th. And here's a snippet of what you are going to get that entire weekend. I cannot wait for the Black History Month Literary Weekend. There are going to be some wonderful things happening all weekend. So if you want more information, make sure you go to my website, www.mtwimagesolutions.com. And I am putting it in the chat for those of you who need the information. So I really hope to see you guys there. So continue to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for more information. Now, We're bringing on Miss Kenyatta. Not Kenyatta. Why can't I see you? Okay, I think so. Kenyatta, are you there?
I am here.
Okay.
My
How come I can't?
camera is on. I don't know. Let's see.
Hmm. Okay, so Kenyatta's having a little bit of a technical difficulty, so we're gonna get started. So while we're waiting for Kenyatta, I will go ahead and tell you a little something about her. She is the owner of Riches in Reading, and if you remember when we were talking with Michelle, and she mentioned if you order your book through this certain website, which is Riches in Reading, that's how you're going to get the special gift. So there she is. Let me go ahead and bring her back in there. There she is.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Look at you with all the books behind you.
Yes.
Well, welcome to the show. I am so glad to finally get you on the show. I think we've been knowing each other for years.
You know what? It's funny. I was just listening to the interview with Michelle, and it has been 20 years. It was Cheating in the Next Room where you came to
Yes.
Virginia and
I was just
presented to
about to
our book
say that.
club.
You were
Yep.
my first book club that I had ever visited, and that was my first book. So I think we've been in touch since then. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
thank you for the love that you showed my book because it was really encouraging for me as a brand new author. And then a book club who wasn't even in the same city as I was
Mm-hmm.
invited me to come out. So I appreciate that. And it goes to show how important book clubs are to an author.
Definitely, definitely. Congratulations to 20 years. Wow.
No,
Time
it's
flies.
crazy, right? I
And
can't
it was
believe
an
it's been that
awesome
long.
book. Yes, yes. So I'm looking forward to the audible.
Yeah, I actually since Cheating in the Next Room, I've turned it into a stage play.
Mhm.
And we did it in New Orleans. We actually ran it twice that year. We ran it
Okay.
during the Black History Month Literary Weekend back in 2018. And then we ran it later on during Veterans Day weekend that same
Okay.
year. And then the following year, actually in 2020, believe it or not, I turned one of my other books into a stage play called Twilight. So I've really
Nice.
gotten kind of that theater producer bug. I love it. And so I'd like to turn more books into stage plays, but I just really want to do something special for Cheating in the Next Room this coming year because it was the book that kind of put me out there and started my author career, and I got to meet amazing people like you.
Yay! Relationships are important. Although we
Absolutely.
haven't really talked a lot over the years, we always stay connected via social media,
Yes,
thankfully.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
again, congratulations. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Angela. Tiff. Hi. Look, I can't even figure out how to chat. So, I'm chatting privately with Dr. Rondo on the side.
So
Thank you
funny.
so much
So
for having me, Rhonda.
thank you.
I'm
So
glad
tell
we were finally able to connect.
Yeah, I agreed. I know we had talked about it a couple of times because, like I said, we don't talk every day, but every once in a while, I'm
Hmm.
like, hey, did you know such and such? You're like, how did I not know that? Okay, well, here, or I'll be like, hey, you're doing your thing. Well, you're doing your thing too. So I love
Hmm.
that.
Yes,
But
yes, definitely.
tell me a bit about how Riches and Reading came about.
It actually started from Sister Girl Book Club in Virginia. So, um, I've always had a love for books, similar to what Michelle Stimpson was just saying. She started, writing in her diaries and journaling at a young age. I did the same exact thing. I had books under my mattress and everything. So my mama didn't need to read. And I just always had a love for books. I stayed in the library when I was in school. And so I always said, all right, when I get older, I am going to open a bookstore. And, I couldn't find a lot of books about us. When I was in the library, she was giving me Judy Blume and everybody else. And then I found Mildred Taylor. And I'm like, well, why didn't she give me this before? Why am I reading about these white families as I'm getting older? I'm probably about 13, 14 at that time. And, me and my dad had a conversation, and he was like, well, what are you going to do about it? When I get older, I am going to sell books. I think I actually said first I was going to be a librarian. But it's a little too quiet sometime in the
Yes.
library for me. So I like to run my mouth too. So the bookstore, I like to socialize. My husband gave me, I think it was almost 800 square feet in his business. And with the book club, they helped me open Riches and Reading. They supported me. We got authors in. It, benefited the book club because we were able to bring authors to a space versus us having to rent something or, have it at a library. I was able to bring them into the bookstore. And so their Riches and Reading was born. It was actually called the Book Nook at first because it was a smaller space.
Yeah.
And we changed the name to Riches and Reading in 2016, right before I relocated to the Maryland area. And then we went solely online at that point because of the location.
Wait a minute. I didn't know you were in Maryland. All this time I thought you were still in Virginia.
I told you that before.
Girl,
I told you.
I'll be forgetting.
We're around the corner. Yeah, we'll talk. Yes, I've been here for 7 years now.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you got back here before I did.
Yep.
That is crazy. See, this is the things that you learn when you talk to people. So you said the bookstore is now totally online. So would you ever consider going back to a physical space?
Definitely. That is the plans when I retire. And, working a 9 to 5, like you had the issue earlier, I'm just praying today. I'm like, please, no issue so I can make it to my interview. So
you should have seen my face. I was like,
I saw you. I saw your face.
You saw me?
I was on. I saw it. I didn't want to interrupt what was going on. I saw it. But yes, that is the plan. The plan is for a bookstore and cafe. As you heard, Michelle Stimpson, I'm supporting with her pre-order campaign. She doesn't like to cook, but I love to cook. Angela and all those gals know that Kenyatta loves to
about ordering the book. I want the spices because I'm going to cook with it.
See, I already told her. Yeah, I'm going to have a little cooking session or something once this book release. I'm gonna promo her book. But so I'm excited about the book.
I didn't realize it was that thick.
Yeah, yes. It's gonna be a good one too.
Come through with the textbook, Michelle.
There you go. She's giving you your money's worth. A good story. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Look, you got everybody going back in their memory talking about when they used to go to the library. I was one of the nerds. I was in the library club too.
Yes, I was. My friends wanted to go to, the games and stuff. I was not interested in a football game. Yeah, I was interested in putting on a nice sweatshirt or something like that and going out there for a hot minute. But just like today, when we go out with the family, I got a book. They call me the book nerd. My daughter's like, Mom, don't take out that book. Don't take out the book.
It's funny. When I was in middle school, I'm from New Orleans, and I went to a school called Andrew J. Bell. For those who are from New Orleans, they would remember this school. It's no longer a school. Now it's an apartment complex. But before it became a school, it was a church, and it was a church, and I believe that there were also nuns there. But so our library used to be a church. It was actually like a sanctuary. So when you walk in, it was so gorgeous in there. It still had the stained glass windows. It still had the high ceilings.
The high ceilings, okay.
Right. I mean, I'm never gonna forget one time a guy was visiting. I don't know. I think it was some production company or something. I don't remember who they were, but the man walked into the library and all he could do was walk like this and go, wow. It was the most beautiful school library you would ever see. And I loved being in there.
Wow.
And then even growing up, when I was in the Army and I was in Iraq, I was that person who was always known for going into the dining facility. I would get my food and I would purposely choose an empty table because I would read a book while I was eating, and people thought I was lonely or depressed. People, are you okay? I'm fine. Are you okay, Sergeant? I'm fine. I'm reading. And then
I'm in
people would
heaven.
come sit with me. I'm like, can you leave me alone? I'm reading.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
it was
Yes, reading.
hilarious, but I loved it.
Exactly. It takes you to places that you may never otherwise get to visit. So
Yes.
as a child, I was everywhere.
I mean, I'm really glad that, you know, it's something that we carried when we were younger, but we carried it into adulthood, and we still love to read, and I still encourage people to read. My daughter, I had to almost tie her down and make her read Zora Neale Hurston. I'm like, you need to read some good books. And then she wasn't feeling it. She didn't like the dialect. So, okay, I'm like, all right, fine. You read what you want to read, but at least you read the book.
You should read. That's it. That's it. And my daughter, she loves to read. She picked up the reading book, so I'm happy with that. She's like me though. She doesn't like a lot of the audibles. She likes to have the book in hand. So yes, she picked that up for Mama.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's keep that reading going, parents. Keep your kids reading. Now, I will say reading is a little different now. So our kids may be reading, but they may not be reading physical books like we read when we were kids.
Yeah.
Now they're reading things like Wattpad. But it's still reading. It's still reading.
It's still reading. Yep. Yep. Thank you, Angela.
I'm gonna have to get myself a t-shirt now.
I got you. I got you one. I got you one.
Thank you. So what are your activities now? What have you been doing? Because I know you still have the bookstore going. Are you still doing the book club? I know you're not in Virginia anymore.
Yeah, so we meet maybe a couple of times a year via Zoom or something like that. But we haven't physically met and probably since COVID, actually. So right now it's just the bookstore. I am working on book number 2, and hopefully I'll have that out mid 2004. So My Skin is Beautiful.
Yes.
I was born during COVID. I was working remotely, and I'm like, all right, there's nothing standing in my way right now. So let me get this book out. So My Skin is Beautiful is about young Monet who suffers from eczema. It was funny because when my coworkers heard the title, they just thought a Black man. No, it's about her skin.
Yeah.
So My Skin is Beautiful again is talking about young Monet dealing with eczema, and she has an outbreak on a summer day at a birthday party, and her friend's mother and older sister helps her or helps to comfort her during this outbreak, because with eczema, your skin can get a little itchy if it gets wet or if it gets sweaty. So it just talks about how she managed her eczema, how she liked to hide it. Even though it was hot, she had on a long sleeve shirt because she didn't want folks to see her arms. And how her friend Jocelyn helped support her, how her older friend's sister talked about how she managed eczema still as a 13, 14-year-old girl. So book 2 will be My Hair is Beautiful, again, because those with eczema, they deal with it on their scalp. I've had eczema since I was born, and it takes a lot to manage. As I got older, I was able to, go to the dermatologist myself, and just find what worked for me. Right. And so I just wanted kids to understand that your skin is still beautiful no matter what, because you see kids who suffering from eczema and their self-esteem is sometimes shot. Yes. So I just wanted to, it took me a minute to come up with the title, because I didn't want it to say anything about eczema. But My Skin is Beautiful is the title that I selected, talking about Monet and how she dealt with eczema.
Well, I think that's beautiful, and it's good that it's not about race, because there are a lot of children's books that are helping children to love the color of their skin, but we don't always talk about the texture of our skin or the quality of our skin. I
Mm-hmm.
suffer from eczema as well, and unfortunately, mine wasn't on my arms. Mine was right in my face. So, I would have the
Mm-hmm.
peeling skin all around here, and
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't walk around with a mask on, so people would see it.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Mm-hmm.
it's a hard thing to deal with.
It
And
is. It is.
I didn't know what to do about it. Now, I'm blessed to have a daughter who is a beast in the kitchen. She's a kitchen beautician, and she makes the best shea butter. I feel beautiful shea butter, in case anybody's wondering. But I'm telling you, between her shea butter and the face mask that she makes, it helps us to
Mm-hmm.
keep the eczema at bay. But it's still there. If we stop taking care of it, it would probably come
Mm-hmm.
right back.
Exactly, exactly. And kids are cruel. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think they're cruel because they don't understand what it is. You can't catch it. And it's okay if somebody has it. So, I think there needs to be more education surrounding
Yeah.
this disease, so that folks will understand how to explain this to their children, and their children will understand what it is when they go to school and they see friends or they see other kids with it. It's it's not a laughing matter. Their skin is still beautiful. They just deal with a little drier skin. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful that this book will help children and parents that are dealing with eczema.
And the
Yep.
book can be purchased through your website.
Yes, autographed copies, and let me drop the link. Autographed copies can be purchased through Riches and Reading, but it is also available wherever books are sold as well. Now we'll drop the
Okay,
link for
so
you. There you go.
yeah, oh my goodness, there have been so many comments. I have to scroll to find what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm gonna put this is a longer link, but I'm still gonna put it in the chat for anybody who wants to order this book. Now I know Christmas is right around the corner. Is there a chance that anybody's able to get this book before Christmas?
I have a couple of copies left. This book has been on sale for the last month. So yes, if you order the book tomorrow, I will get it out to you no later than Wednesday, and you should receive it on Saturday. Yes.
All right, y'all, don't waste your time. Go ahead. The link is in the chat. Go ahead and click that link. This is a beautiful, beautiful gift for the child in your life. And are we talking boys or girls? But I'm
Yes,
thinking that
boys
boys
or
go for this
girls.
as well. But I know there's a girl on the
Yep,
cover.
boys or girls. It doesn't matter, if you're black or white. We have black, white, and brown children in this book. So I wanted to make sure, again, it wasn't, about just black children, because all children suffer from eczema. So yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Books make great books. I think she meant books make great gifts.
I know exactly what she's saying. Thank you, Angela, and you are right. She's already ordered a couple of gifts herself.
I believe that. Angela is on it.
Yes, Angela supports. Definitely.
I love it. I love it. So now do you have any plans with for the bookstore? I know we talked a bit about the book, but going back to the bookstore, do you have any plans on what you're doing? Are you doing any other promotions? I know you're doing the promotion for Michelle, and of course there's the
So
promotion for your own book.
yes, we're also handling the pre-order campaign for the American Queen as well, by Vanessa Miller. Again, that comes with an autographed copy from Vanessa Miller. So please stop by and support the American
I
Queen.
love
That
Vanessa
releases
Miller.
January 30th. Yes. It releases January 30th, and she has some fun giveaways that she is supplying while supplies last, y'all. While supplies last. So if you don't get it, just know you ain't ordering time. So her campaign, pre-order campaign, has been going great. I attended the Christian Book Lovers Retreat back in October, so we launched her pre-order campaign then. And again, the giveaways are while supplies last. So please support Vanessa Miller with The American Queen that releases next month.
Wonderful. Man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the best events, there's CBLR, which you just mentioned. Then there's also Curtis Bunn's event in Atlanta, the
National Book Club Conference.
Yes. Which I am going to, come hell or high water. I will be there in 2024. I don't know why it seems something always comes up and I can't make it, but I am going there.
Every year. I think probably for the last 7-8 years, I have not been able to make it because of where it falls on the weekend. But I'm going to definitely try to get there in
Maryland. Let's just go.
I know, right? Okay, we go chat. Yeah, let's make it happen.
Yes. Right, so Deborah Owsley had a question. She wanted to know if it was too late for Vanessa Miller's box. Vanessa Miller.
So Deborah, Vanessa is selling the book boxes or the gift boxes herself. I do not believe it's late yet, but I'll send you a separate message. I'll check in with her right after this call.
Awesome sauce.
Oh, and it's the 20th anniversary.
Wow,
yeah, we gotta make it.
We have to go.
Deborah, will we see you there? Yeah, we gotta make it. And I have awesome bookmarks too. Yeah, from Deborah.
Yes. Deborah and I have been talking. I'm going to have some of those bookmarks at the Black History Month Literary Weekend this coming year, which you got to come to.
I know. You know what? It's just working a 9 to 5. It's crazy, but I'm going to try to attend a few more conferences this year. Yep. Yeah. And Deborah, I will see you. God willing, I will see you.
We're gonna have a meetup.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I haven't been able to meet Deborah in person, so looking forward to definitely meeting with her.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to do more in 2024, because I've been very busy setting up Meet the World Image Solutions, but I'm kind of neglecting my own literary career, so to speak, because I'm doing other stuff. So don't be looking, get that knowing look.
I'm just saying, what's next?
Everybody looks at me like that. I am getting back into writing. I have plans, and it's going to start with Cheaper in the Next Room. I'm going to re-release it. I'm going to tweak the story a little bit, kind of update it a little bit, because when I wrote this story, we didn't really have cell phones like that. I think cell phones were just becoming a thing. So
yep.
We
didn't have smartphones.
Say what now?
We didn't have smartphones.
Exactly.
We had the flip phone.
So yeah, I'm going to update the story a little bit, take some things into consideration, and then the story's going to come out. Don't worry. After I do this, I have an anthology that's going to come out. I have other things that are happening. I'm here.
All right. I'll be checking in. Exactly. Let me read. What you got so far?
See, that's what I'm talking about. This is why I do this show, because people like you keep me motivated.
Good.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe it's almost time. It's almost 8:15.
It is. Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. So in these last few minutes, do you have any parting words for us?
No, but just happy holidays to everyone. Again, thank you so much for having me on the show, Dr. Rhonda. And it was good catching up. It's been a long time, 20 years, as we stated earlier. I'm glad to see some familiar faces actually jumped on the call today as well. Yeah. So that's always exciting. Please support your indie bookstores, any indie bookstore. We love to have you at Riches and Reading, but we want to make sure that our independent booksellers are making sure that they get our books delivered to you, our books that you can't find at your public libraries or in your local bookstores unless you go on there and request them. Please, we want to get these authors, these independent authors' books in your hands. So please support your indie booksellers.
So Tell me this. If there's an author who's watching and they were like, wow, I didn't
Mhm.
know about Riches and Reading. Can I get my book into her store? What does she need to do, or what does he need to do?
Contact me at info@richesandreading.com. That is my email, and I will send you information on how to get your books on our website. Yep.
Wonderful. And do you have any guidelines, or are there any restrictions? Is it any type of book? Um, or do you have specific books that you like to sell?
It's almost any type of book because there are a lot of different readers out there.
Yes.
But I do like for books to be available on Ingram so that I can, order them when needed. But I do accept books on consignment basis as well. So there is a consignment agreement that I can share with the readers if their books are not available um, at Ingram distribution.
Right. It is so
Yep.
great to see you doing this, and that your store is standing the test of time, because at one time it seemed like the Black bookstores were going away.
Hmm.
But now it seems like
Yes.
there's a resurgence where they're coming back even more. They're coming back even
Hmm.
stronger. There's probably a bookstore in almost every major city now, even if it's only one store.
Yes. Hmm.
Now in New
Hmm.
Orleans, we had two, and then it went down to one, and now we're back up to two.
Hmm.
And then here we have there are some Black bookstores that we didn't even know existed. Thank goodness
Yes.
for the Instagram influencers who have been letting us know where these
Hmm.
stores are. So thank you
Yes,
for what
definitely.
you are doing, and for what other bookstores are doing. It's really helping the not just Black authors. I mean, a lot of these are Black bookstores, but just indie authors. We could say that it's
Hmm.
really helping indie authors to find a platform for their books. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. All right. And again, thank you for having me today. And we will definitely stay in touch.
Sounds great. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening. And if we don't talk again, have a Merry Christmas.
Have a Merry Christmas. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye. All right, you guys, that was it. And this was the last show of 2023. Please, please, please help us to continue to grow this show so we can continue to be a support and a platform for independent authors all over the place. Oh, Vanessa Miller, join the chat. We were just talking about you, girl. And I've got to get you on the show as well. So we'll have to get you on the show in 2024. So congratulations on your new book as well. So that's all we have for tonight, guys. We will be back on air January 8th. So we're not going to be on next week, because next week is Christmas. And we won't be on the week after that, because that's going to be New Year's Day. So the week after that, we will be back on the air, and we will be featuring all of the authors who are going to be a part of the Black History Month Literary Weekend. We're going to be doing 2 authors each week throughout January and February. And then we're going to go right back into our general authors starting in March, leading through the rest of the year. So it's going to be a great ride. We have a lot of great things planned. We're going to continue to grow this show, and we need your support in order to do that. So thank you all for your support this year. This has been a blessing. This is the second year. This is the second year of the Horizons Author Lounge, and I could not have gotten this far without your support. I love you all. I thank you. And I wish you all of God's blessings. And I will see you in 2024. So have a Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. God bless you. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness.